Hey guys, my name is Mysca and welcome to Overwatch Central. So, Season 10 has started and we're all excited of course to get back into competitive play after a short break, tackle the new season, see if you can get a new season or maybe even career high. Yesterday I played all 10 placement games as a main tank player and at first I was pretty excited to get back into it and I did pretty well, but it all kind of hits you pretty fast. Things have changed with Brigitte and just the meta overall, and it can definitely be frustrating. I don't want to do it! I don't want to play main tank anymore! Painful at times.
Dude, oh my god! Stop it! Oh, dude, I'm done with my...
And just in general make you question your decisions about what game you've chosen to play today.
If you're a main tank and you play ladder like more than 3 hours a day, I think you're into like some really weird shit, you know, like with involving pain and whatnot.
So that leaves you with the question, is it even worth playing tanks anymore? Now, the very simple answer to that is of course just, yeah, it's probably worth still having a tank or two on your team. But I think a lot of people don't really realize what to do as a main tank right now. How to sort of go about it and just kind of deal with the current situation. Of course, you can kind of just wait it out until the situation is not as bad for main tank players. So like I said, yesterday I played 10 placement games. I ended last season at about 3,720 SR, something around there. I tend to be right around 3.8k more recently, and I've played tanks and primarily main tanks ever since maybe around September last year. Before then I used to flex a little bit more. So I've played tank and main tank for a while, and there are some things going on right now that I feel like I've kind of found ways to deal with in the current meta that I wanted to share. And there are 3 things on my list that I want to address in this video. First off, the options for main tanks. Let's go through them one by one, starting with Winston. Now, Winston does definitely get sort of messed with due to Brigitte's armor. Brigitte armor is very hard to deal with for Winston, as you don't deal a whole lot of damage at all. You kind of have to try and punch away as much armor as possible, but it is very difficult to play Winston now. You have to be a lot more careful with who you jump, because the engagements are a bit longer, so you're more prone to get CC'd, stunned, and killed. Winston obviously plays the same as before though, but you just have to be a lot more careful with who you jump, and the armor really messes with him, so I wouldn't really recommend playing Winston too much, but sometimes you just have to. Next up, of course, Reinhardt, who you've seen countless of times get thrown around, and it is really frustrating to play Reinhardt right now in certain situations, to get stunned by Brigitte, thrown around by Junkrats, Doomfist, etc. Even Brigitte herself can stun you and then just shove you back with her whip shot ability. And I know this sounds crazy, but I would still recommend to play Reinhardt a lot of the time. Now, this is because Reinhardt and Brigitte do so well together that if one team runs a Reinhardt and Brigitte, it can be extremely hard to play, say, an Orisa or a Winston into that, meaning that Reinhardt can sometimes be your only option as that main tank. So I would still recommend to play Reinhardt, as crazy as it sounds. I've gained a lot of SR just recently in this season actually with Reinhardt, and I would still recommend to play him. It's just that you have to be very comfortable on the hero to pull it off. You can't just pick up Reinhardt first time playing Reinhardt and expect it to go well this time around. You have to be very comfortable on the hero if you are a main tank player and you have played all the Reinhardt in the past. Don't give the hero up entirely, because it is still very useful to play Reinhardt Brigitte. Finally, Orisa. This can be a good option for Reinhardt if you don't feel comfortable on Reinhardt, because Orisa can kind of deal with the CC a lot more. You have Fortify available, which is very useful, and you also have the pull, the halt ability, which can also keep Brigitte in check, and I can definitely recommend playing Orisa if you want a little bit of an easier time to sort of deal with the situation, but Reinhardt really isn't that bad of a pick, is the overall. First off, how main tank as a role has changed and how it's so much more pivotal now and how you can actually capitalize off of this. I wouldn't say I like the change of it, but basically because of the way main tank plays now and how much harder it is to play main tank, and how non-main tank players picking up Winston just for one game because their team really needs it will struggle more, you as a main tank on your team should definitely take a look at the enemy team comp and see if their main tank is really a main tank player or not, and keep that in mind when you're playing, because now main tank is not one of those roles that as many people want to play. So if you play it and you play it well, and especially against someone that's also not as experienced as you can be the sort of main turning point of a game for sure. Anyway, let's move on to the last point here, which has to do with these very sustain heavy fights, these very long fights that can get very frustrating. Now, if a fight goes on for a long time, you can very easily get frustrated as a main tank and go for a pretty ballsy play, a Reinhardt charge, a risky Winston leap onto an enemy, or just some other thing that has to do with sort of putting yourself at risk in terms of positioning. And this is the number one thing that I think you as a tank player in Season 10 have to think about a whole lot more. Patience was already pretty important as a main tank, but this is putting even more emphasis on it. And some people put it really well last night in my Twitch chat. You have to do a whole lot of tiptoeing, and this is not something that all main tank players are used to dealing with, as previously you could be a lot more aggressive with heroes like Winston and so on. And aggressive Winston players, if they didn't play as much Reinhardt, would a lot of the time be very aggressive with Reinhardt as well. This is definitely something to keep in mind if you do play tanks this season, because this aspect of the game has changed a lot and you can feel it straight away right as you get into game. So try and grasp that quickly, and that will definitely help you. Anyway, that's it for those 3 things I wanted to go through. I just want to say as well that I do think that main tank is in a very bad spot right now compared to where it's previously been. It's a lot more frustrating, it's not as fun, your options are a lot more limited. I'm not calling for a competitive ban on Brigitte for some huge nerfs for the hero, but there's a lot of things that can be tweaked. And on top of that, this really makes you realize how few options you have as a main tank player. Obviously, I do try to play off tanks as well, and I do play some of them fairly well. Last night I played Diva and Zarya in a couple games, but it is unrealistic to expect players to be able to master 6 heroes and play them all at a sort of equal level to be able to climb. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and all that stuff. These are just kind of my impressions of what playing tank in Season 10 is like and will be like throughout a little bit of the season, at least until maybe some changes come in. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Anyway, subscribe for more Overwatch content as per usual, and until next time, take care, and we'll see you then.